What's going on, YouTubers, Mopar people? It's Mopar Man 1978. Right now we're out here on a fairly decent day. I'm used to doing videos on cars and trucks and project vehicles, whatnot, but want to do something a little bit different, but still remain within the YouTube guidelines on a completely different topic. I'm talking about today about your personal safety. I've been a security officer for many years, both doing armed and unarmed services, contract jobs through private security, and working at resorts like here in the Branson area and whatnot. Besides that, grew up around friends and family, been in the military, law enforcement. Now don't get me wrong, people watching my videos doesn't mean I'm a bootlicker or anything like that. I support Constitution supporting law enforcement officers that uphold their oath, just like our military. Citizens abiding by the rules as well. It's good cops. We got a lot of good cops out there. Unfortunately, we get a couple rotten apples in the barrel. Doesn't mean the rest are rotten. Especially if the police department doesn't have internal affairs. It's those good cops' job to observe and report the bad cops, because either two things will happen, or both things will happen at the same time. You'll give your department a bad reputation, and it could get good cops killed. But anyway, I want to focus on self-defense today. Going off a little, besides I notice on other channels, people are doing stuff other than cars and trucks and projects, stuff like that related to automobiles. I'm not going to mention or show the actual items. That way I can kind of hopefully remain under the radar, so I won't get banned or in trouble with YouTube. But I'll just be using code words for certain items, or I'll just say a particular item that goes here. Anyway, you guys can I got a lot of smart subscribers and people that check out my videos, so they'll definitely know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm all about living by a simple rule. Harm no person, but yet let no person harm you. I don't go looking for fights, stuff like that. Anyway, and I am pro-gun, and I'm not afraid of it, and not to otherwise why would I be doing this video or making comments sometimes I make in live chats or whatever. Nothing wrong with it. I know that's, by some people, that's not cool or popular or whatever, that we're automatically deemed as some type of domestic terrorist now. But anyway, something you can do for your truck, like I did. Maybe this might work in a car, in your trunk, something like that. I've always liked the racks. The racks put up in the back windows of the truck with certain items going across, self-defense items. But the problem is they're in full view, which if you get ever stopped at a traffic stop, that's a good thing. They see it up there, they know where they're at. But if the cops can see that, so can criminals. Well, I wanted to be able to put something in here besides what I normally would carry on my hip or in a backpack or something for self-defense purposes, which would be a last resort. Use your brain, not an item, to try to, unless it's a serious enough situation where it's life or death. What I did was I bought one of the universal metal racks that's got the rubber coating, and I went ahead and made sure all this was covered up back here with moist old. I didn't use shop rags. I have a bunch of old shop towels. It's basically like beach towels that are old, in case I got to clean up a bunch of stuff. Anyway, I wetted them down enough to where they weren't dripping, but I covered over anything that could be possibly flammable, like the back, the seats, the carpet. Anyway, I went ahead and I didn't want to start drilling holes and stuff and everything. So what I went ahead and did is I cut back the rubber coating or the sleeve and welded the racks into the wall. Even though like down here they have adjusters, bolts that come with it in the kit. I just made sure they were correctly adjusted, and if I had to cut some excess off or what have you. And then I went ahead and then measured for my items to fit back in here, and then I went ahead and welded them in. And then once I got it done, I went ahead and drilled a hole here on the rack hook, or whatever you want to call it. I did one up here. This is some pretty tough metal, so you're going to want to use a really strong drill bit. I drilled a hole through here, and then I went to Menards and bought a couple of strips of strip plating, like you can see here. Pretty thick. I don't know, maybe like two of these, almost like two of these air fresheners put together. I don't know. Anyway, drilled a hole all the way through. Used an Allen head and a washer, and on the back side I used a nylon lock nut. That way you have to have a wrench, and then you have to have an Allen head to take it off, but it pivots. Okay, so then what I did, I took the time to measure it, bend it to where it comes down in front here. And I used to have it set up on both sides like that with a small padlock, but I figured in case of an emergency situation that I needed to take my certain items out, maybe 2 padlocks would take too much time. So I developed let's go around here. I developed this rod. Like I said, I went to Menards or wherever you want to go, and I bought a section of rod. This is probably as thick as the outer diameter of a tubular Bic pen. And I heated it up with a torch, and I used a pair of vice grips. And then I made I measured it and welded I cut the end of the deal to make a square loop, and then I welded up the seams so it's got a loop on the end of it. So basically, when you have your item in here, this goes in here like this, and you want to oversize the holes when you drill. You don't want it to be the exact diameter or just a hair bigger than the rod. You want it to be at least 2 or 3 hairs bigger than the item that you're putting through the hole, like the padlock. Anyway, here's the other one. This one comes down. This goes here, and then you can see I got this padlock. I probably go with the shorter padlock, but that's all I could find in the store at the time. They must have had a run on padlocks. Anyway, let's give me a minute here, since I don't have my conceited stick attached to the we'll go through the front like I think I just normally do. Anyway, now actually, shit. Like I said, this is a little bit too long, but basically you get the idea. So when this is locked, the weapon is long enough, or the item I should say, that because of the spacing between here and here, you can't slide it out from its locked position, and you can't slide it out the other way because of the locked position, even though there might be a little bit of a gap. And I made it to where the stock that goes up the area by your shoulder can't move in or out while this is engaged. I meant a professional criminal will come in here and get through this no problem, but your average idiot won't have the time to pick the lock or have a pair of bolt cutters or something like that, because, like I said, it's behind the seat, out of sight, out of mind. You know it's there, nobody else knows it's there, but if they decide to break into the truck and try to steal shit, and if they decide they want to pop the seat forward, here's another obstacle that they're going to have to work for it. That's the whole key. People, doing security for so long, and cops doing their job for so long, we can't stress this enough. Quit making it easy for the criminals to steal shit. I don't care if you have 3 or 4 pennies in the console, or you have a pack of gum. Any of the stuff that you don't seem to think that's valuable is considered gold to a criminal. I mean, in the apartment complex I lived in for over 11 years, idiots were leaving their titles to their vehicles in their glove boxes, leaving CDs, and then they were bitching at the cops why they can't believe their vehicle got broken into. And the first thing I go, well, is your vehicle locked? No. Is your house locked? No. I mean, it shouldn't be like that. Like, it should be like the olden days. Everybody knew one another in the neighborhood, and you didn't have to worry about locking your doors at night. But it's not like that anymore. Please lock your stuff up. Make it difficult for the criminals to get your items. Maybe while they're filly farting around trying to steal your item, maybe they take a long enough time that you actually catch them and do something about it. Maybe you have enough time to call the cops and detain them so the cops can get here. We live out in the country. You know how long it took for the sheriffs to show up? 45 minutes one night, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when I wasn't here. My mom and my sister were here at the house. And they all know how, they're all trained on how to use certain self-defense items in the house. It took the cops, or the deputies, 45 minutes to get out to the house. Now, there's an old country saying, a lot can happen in a minute. Well, imagine 45 minutes. Luckily, the guy didn't get in. He was screaming and banging on the door, calling people names, telling them to let him the F in and all this other stuff. Okay? I'd rather have the old saying, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, in case something was to happen. Somebody's trying to attack you, or a group of people trying to break in your home, or whatever it is. But anyway, like I said, out of sight, out of mind. Basic setup. You could do. There's a bunch of different ways you can figure this up. Like I said, a professional can break in here and get whatever they want, but most of your average thugs are just gonna be like, "Ah, I'm out of here. I can't get it," or they'll try to just cut the stock off. But the thing is, the way I have this positioned, even if they cut the stock off, they're not going to be able to get the weapon out of there. Another thing I did too, for $8 to $12, military ammo cans, great for storage, waterproof. Before I put anything in here, I used a long extension or extensions. And I used the big heavy-duty sheet metal screws that they put on the outside or the insides of carports. I anchored this thing down into the floor, this flat, rectangular flat piece of floor back here, this shelf on the floor, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I got some basics, almost like a bug-out box instead of a bug-out bag. You got some basics in here. I got some fishing stuff. I got some pew supplies, and there's some, for one of those long self-defense items, or a little short self-defense item, whatnot. Basic stuff, maybe some paracord in there, whatnot. And online, they sell these kits that, I don't know if you can see that. They go through here into the box, but they stick out, and you can put a padlock on there. Well, I just took a step bit, which looks like a cone-shaped bit with the different sizes, And I just drilled these out, drilled this out, drilled a hole out right behind it, went through. Just took a basic, get out of the sun here. Took a basic, I don't know, 1/2-inch bolt. Filed down a flat side on one side and a flat side on the other. Drilled a hole straight through the middle. Put the seat back up again. Open this back. Take this back off. Open this lid back open. Put the bolt back through. Let's see here. Okay. Now, there's if your luck is like mine, that bolt could possibly slide back out in there if you don't have anything in there, and it'd fall back out. I mean, you could possibly weld it in there or whatever you want to do. It's however you want to fabricate. But I took a I call them it's a washer that digs into the metal for making better electrical contacts. All I did is I cut it on one side and expanded it, and you just got to work it down the threads. Of course, it almost wants to be difficult when I get on camera. That's how it usually works, kind of like a Murphy's Law in a way. Anyway, this goes up against the bolt, all the way up against the box. Okay, like that. So it can rotate, but it's going to stay in one spot. Anyway, you bring the lid down, and then you put your finger underneath the lip here on this plate. After you got the lid fastened down, and see how it sticks out, and then you just take your padlock, your little padlock, and it's another safety feature, another anti-theft deal. Like I said, professionals can get past this stuff, but not most of the average criminals. Anyway, especially if you ever get stopped by a cop and they ask you, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? And you can say yes. And if they ask you where it's at, you can tell them, if you're concealed carry, whatever. You could say, yeah, I got it on my hip, blah, 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 blah. Is there any other weapons we need to know about? Technically, it's, if you haven't committed a crime, but they still pull you over for a random traffic stop, they're always trying to fish for additional information. They've been trained to almost pretty much interrogate you. Know your rights. Because they'll try to push the envelope, even though if you're not a criminal, especially if you're not a criminal, if you don't know your rights, they think you're an easy pushover. But but anyway, you could tell them, yeah, I got weapons back behind the seat, but they're all locked up, and maybe they might have you leave the vehicle, and you tell them, hey, you just flip that lever up on the side of the seat or whatever, and flip the backrest forward, and they'll come in here and go, oh, okay, this is locked, that's locked up, it's all secure, okay. They feel more at ease because they don't think you might try to flip the seat forward and shoot them or something like that, and they know that, anyway. But yeah, I just thought I'd share this with you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I know this is completely off topic from what I normally post and what other channels post, but especially self-defense, and it don't even have to do with any self-defense items. It could be self-defense in general, since I have studied a lot of mixed martial arts over the years. Especially Wing Chun Kung Fu, which is basically the first Kung Fu that Bruce Lee studied. It's basically, like I would say, it'd be the better version of the Japanese Aikido, because Aikido is basically for somebody that, whether they be strong or weak, can defend themselves against somebody that's much bigger, much stronger than them without using hardly any effort to defeat their opponent. And that's the other thing. If you're just going out to beat people up, study martial arts to beat people up, that's not the goal. You're supposed to help people, defend that's another thing with the police department. You know, the whole part of the cop is you're supposed to enforce legal laws, and you're there to represent the citizens and look out for the people that cannot defend themselves. That's the whole thing. You're not there to be a bully. You're not supposed to be there to violate people's rights. I'm definitely not, I'm definitely against Antifa and BLM and all that. Because, yeah, that could be a whole nother, if you have any questions about that in the comment section, feel free to post that. It says, I'm not against anybody of any color. We're all human beings, but some of them organizations don't actually represent the people that they talk about that they represent. But anyway, but yeah, and like I said, I don't hate cops. And even if I didn't have friends or family in the military or law enforcement, I still support cops. But that doesn't mean I kiss their boots or anything like that. But yeah. I rambled on long enough, but like I said, if you have any questions, the basic self-defense situation stuff you want to kind of learn, especially the inside home defense, or if you'd like to maybe see some basic home defense situations on video, I can do with maybe hopefully not get in trouble with it. Let me know, or I can give you an email address or something. I don't know. If you live close enough, I could maybe work with you in person. But anyway, that's basically it. I know I hadn't done any videos on my truck. I'm still waiting on my damn income tax / stimulus checks to show up. I've been approved for all of them. I haven't got any of my stimulus. They sent me a letter, and I finally got a phone number to contact somebody and talk to somebody at the IRS, and I did. There was supposedly a slight issue that supposedly it's been resolved, and since I have direct deposit, but they told me it would probably, after my visit with them on the phone, it could take up to 60 days additionally before I could even see my income tax or my back stimulus checks I never got yet. Anyway, so that's the reason the truck is still up on jacks. Still haven't got the transmission. I can't pay for the transmission yet. I got stuff I got to do on the Dart. Anyway, decided to give you a heads up. Hope you enjoy this video. Have a good day.